Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ellen. I am from Melbourne, Australia. Today I want to talk to you a little bit more about my journey to Islam. So as I mentioned in my first video, I was Catholic, practicing Catholic, and there was a particular passage in the Bible that made me question the Bible a little bit more. So that was the passage about John, where he's saying, where Jesus has said that another messenger will come after me and he will bring word, but you are not ready for that right now. So that's something that really sparked my curiosity. And that's when I started my journey of discovering and questioning a little bit more. So that first moment of sort of thinking, hang on, I guess that thinking for yourself, you know, when the priest had told everyone that that this was the Holy Spirit, I left saying, well, what words did the Holy Spirit bring? I haven't seen anything that the Holy Spirit has brought. He didn't follow up saying, and this is what was brought. So it was very vague, and it really didn't answer any questions for me. And that's when I started to question things a little bit more. So at the same time in my journey, having a little look at the Quran and also continuing to question what I do believe and what I do know. I think many people, and myself included, have not actually read the Bible cover to cover. So it's a religion that, you know, we've been born into and raised as, and we just sort of don't question it. But when those questions come up, that's when it really made a big impact, obviously, to my life. So questions that I just couldn't understand is, why was Jesus praying? And still, I don't actually have an answer. I've seen a few debates by scholars and leaders about, you know, why did Jesus pray? And I don't actually have an answer. On a Catholic mindset, you know, if Jesus is God, why did he pray? Why did he actually need to pray if he is God? It doesn't make sense. But obviously with the Islamic views that Jesus is a messenger from God, then of course he also is praying to God, just like all of the preceding prophets. So the Bible actually reads so much smoother and makes so much more sense when you're reading it with the Islamic understanding that Jesus is sent from God. All the way through the Bible, I see when Jesus talks, he talks about the Father that sent me. My God is your God. All of the language, all of the time I'm seeing is about that he was sent. Rather than I am God. I don't see in the Bible Jesus saying I am God, I am God. I don't ever see that in the language of any of the Gospels. There is one mention, and it's actually a disciple that calls him God. But if he was God, I'm sure he would make it very, very obvious, very prominent. It would be in all of the scriptures, not just one message in one incident where Thomas is calling him God. I don't see that, you know, with everything we know about God from our preceding prophets, from Abraham all the way through, I don't see he would be that shy or coy not to declare, here I am God, and I've come for you. So that was one of the main things that, you know, I still don't have an answer on that one. And then, you know, the Holy Spirit. If we're saying that God is three entities and it's all wrapped in one and it's all the same, then we don't really have a lot of information on the Holy Spirit. I don't see a lot of, you know, is that something that we're meant to worship as well? I didn't see how the Holy Spirit was packaged in to be a God. I didn't quite understand that. And then, you know, having a look at the actual Mass on a Sunday, if we believe in God, why is everything praying to Jesus? Why not praying to God? So when I was looking at the Mass, everything all the way through was all about Jesus, all focused on Jesus. We do accept and encumbrance the preceding prophets, but they're not actually mentioned. I feel like the entire story of religion and of God is just focused just on Jesus and his time. But learning in Islam, you know, the Quran, there's so much about our preceding prophets, Abraham and Moses, and there's so much in there, and it really gives that bigger picture about what God has done for our creation from beginning of time all the way from Adam. And even, you know, in Islam, learning more about the prophets, there's so much lessons that we can take from this, you know. Prophet Ibrahim, how his father was the one that was making the idols for people to worship, and he had to go to his dad and say, Dad, you know, what you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't be worshipping idols. And, you know, that was his dad's business. That was, you know, his job. So, you know, Ibrahim was thrown out of home. So it is very difficult to go against the grain and accept something different to what, you know, those around you follow. But, you know, we see that hardship that Ibrahim went through also. Also his, you know, his patience and his submission, his pure submission to Allah. There is so much in that for us. We have a saying with Christianity, you know, what would Jesus do? You know, we try to think about situations that we're in and we try to act, you know, as Jesus would do. And it's the same with our prophets. Ibrahim being thrown into a fire, and the angel Gabriel came to him and said, what can I do for you? And he says, I just hope that Allah is pleased with me. That pure submission to Allah is so much to learn for us. And then going from Noah, you know, as well in Christianity, we accepting Noah. And Noah, again, you know, laughed at by everybody, even his own family, but yet still he submitted to Allah against the humiliation he suffered, and he built that boat. And Allah was obviously not happy with the disbelievers, and they were wiped out. So I just really enjoy learning so much more about the full picture, which Islam is giving you, that full picture. We see and acknowledge the entire creation from Adam all the way through to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. Where I did find that in my opinion and in my experience, Christianity and the Catholic Church, they're just focusing just on Jesus, which we're not getting the full picture. And in my opinion, that the picture is not correct, not quite accurate with his purpose, with Jesus's purpose. But that's been my my journey and my self-discovery. And obviously, all the Christians will not agree with me, but you cannot disagree with me until you have read the Quran. You know, for someone to argue with me and argue that Islam is wrong, you actually need to know what is actually wrong. And you can't take the media representations about Islam, because they all have an ulterior motive and they're not actually accurate. If it was accurate, certainly the world would be a very, very different place, and we wouldn't have so many converts actually discovering the truth. Yeah, I do find it funny that someone can tell me that it's not the right path, and it's, you know, but they haven't. Firstly, they probably haven't even read the Bible, but then they haven't actually even read the Quran. So I welcome anyone to read it and then argue it with me. I'm more than welcome and open to that. So moving on, the other thing that I really found a bit confronting is not the word. The Ten Commandments. So we live by the Ten Commandments, and we all do. We all do live by the Ten Commandments. And when I was looking into the Ten Commandments a little bit more, I discovered that if, from what I can see, and I'd love you to go and look at it and research it for yourself, is that the Ten Commandments have changed. So from what I can see from my research that I've done, the second commandment, obviously the first commandment, there is only one God and you should worship the Lord your God. But number two, you should not make any imagery of God. So in Islam, there is no imagery. You don't find any statues in churches and crucifixes and these sorts of things. But in Christianity, we have imagery of Jesus. So if Jesus is God, why are we having this imagery of God? So that's conflicting, that's breaking that second commandment. And then I found other versions of the Ten Commandments where it's changed. So you can look at that for yourself. You know, someone might be more of a historian and be able to say who had the authority to change it. But, you know, these are 10 commandments that came down on the tablets to Moses from God directly. So I don't think anyone has the authority to actually change them. Speaking of authority to change, I've recently been reading as well that the Catholic Church have the authority to change the Gospels as they see fit. This was quite made me very uneasy that, you know, our faith, everything that we are following, has the ability to be changed. We know, and I've heard about, you know, all the different versions of the Bible, which, you know, I can, you know, I can consider, you know, translation issues, different sort of types of translations, different people translating the original language. But to be able to add as they see fit. So obviously Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, for those that don't know, aren't actually their names. The people that made those Gospels or wrote those Gospels are unknown. We don't know the names of the real people. That's just been given generic names of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. And I was looking in particular at Matthew 28, number 16, and I came across in the Catholic Encyclopedia and some reports about that was an additional entry. It's only in Matthew, so it's not an element that's consistent across all of the Gospels. It's only in Matthew, and it was something that the Catholic Church added in, and that was in regards to baptizing in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit. So that Trinity that fits nicely with their agenda. So these sorts of things was steering me away from Christianity, while at the same time reading the Quran, and whilst having very critical eyes of the Quran and not actually reading that to convert, it showed me what it actually really is, and that I could feel the truth coming through, and I could feel that these were actually God's words. And then tying back with John, who tells us that there are another messenger will come and he will bring word, then why wouldn't I read what, you know, Jesus has told us, that there's going to be words coming through? Why wouldn't I have a look at that for myself? So there were a lot of things around this that and as you go, there's so much. I mean, obviously it's such a very, very big topic, and there's so much to look at, but there are lots of little things that came up along the way. One of the other things that I love about Islam is zakat. So the way that we are supporting the needy. I find that conflicting in the Catholic entity, in that every week you go to church, you put money in the plate, but that money that you're putting in and you're donating is actually going to the Catholic Church. And we know that the Catholic Church is a very rich and powerful entity. They have a lot of property. So that's a well-known fact. That's not something that anyone can look at and find out. So that to me is not what Jesus would do. Jesus would not be taking money from everyday families to be buying more property and to hold on to these properties for the sake of being wealthy. That's not what Jesus would do at all. So yeah, a couple of things like that really made me question what was I following, and what was the agenda. But also that point of who is Jesus, when he when you know that he is sent by God rather than is God, it changes so much. And again, as I said, seeing that bigger picture of our creation all the way from Adam, with all of the prophets that have come through the ages, everything just goes into place so much more, and there's so much more clarity, so much more truth about who we are and why we're here. So you know, I'm so grateful that I have been on this journey, and I'm so grateful that I have converted to Islam, and I'm so grateful that Allah has guided me to this point. Just in Christianity, in the Bible, I think it's 6:44 in John, where he says, no one can come to me unless the Father that sent me draw him. So we have the same in the Quran, that we're saying that no one will be guided unless Allah chooses. He is the one that knows who will be guided. So in regards to converting and going on a spiritual journey, it's not something that you can be, and anyone can force upon you, or I even think, you know, we read, I've been speaking with a Catholic, and, you know, we read the same passage and we see it totally different. I'm like, it's clear as day. That's what it's saying. No, she's reading it totally differently. So it's our own experiences and our own journey that will take us to different paths. But I do encourage everybody to actually read the Quran. Reading the Quran doesn't make you a Muslim. It's your heart and your connection and your faith, and your declaration of I believe that there is one God and Muhammad is his messenger. Muhammad, when we're declaring Muhammad is his messenger, we're declaring that we accept the Quran, because Quran, for me, this is how I feel, is that the Quran has been given to us by Muhammad. Muhammad, in addition, we also have the Hadiths. So like the Bible is stories of Jesus's life, stories of what he did and said. So according to Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, etc. So Hadiths, we also have, things that Prophet Muhammad would say and do. And that's according to, and then they're written by people, the companions in his life and his wife and these sorts of things. But the Quran in particular is a dictation. So they're the words of God, and they're giving us very clear guidance on ways that we should live our life for a lifestyle that is better for us. I think that Islam is probably seen as quite a strict or difficult, or you've got to make a lot of changes. A lot of people say, I can't give up drinking, or I can't give up this, or I can't give up that, so I'm not even going to bother. But these things that have been put in place, they're there because they're better for you. There is a hadith which I really love, which I don't know inside out, but at the time of Prophet Muhammad, someone went to him and said, look, I will convert, I will follow you, but I'm only going to pray 2 times a day. I want to pray 5 times a day. And Prophet Muhammad said, okay. And his companions afterwards said, well, hang on, you told us 5. Why he 2 and us 5? But he said, as you grow in your faith, as you grow, you want to do more. You want to do more. And he will get there when he's ready, and when he sees and when he feels that connection. He'll want to continue to increase, to do more and more and more that he can to please Allah. And it's the same, I guess, with any sort of religion. When you have that connection, you want to do more, you want to do your best. And that's what, I'm finding with Islam, is that there are so many ways that we can do a little bit better and a little bit better. In regards to praying 5 times a day, it's something that is it's a beautiful moment and a wonderful blessing that we actually have. Prior to Islam, I would have thought 5 times a day, that's too much work. No, once a week, that's enough. 5 times a day, it's too much. But when you actually experience those moments of prayer, it's such a beautiful blessing. It gives you so much. For me, it's giving me so much purpose, so much comfort. You just feel that you're not in this alone. You have that ability to talk to Allah, and He is listening. He knows the seen and the unseen. So he knows even, what you want to say if you haven't even said it, or you can't find the words to say it. He knows what we need more than we know what we need. So that opportunity to pray 5 times a day, and to say hello to Him, and to be showing Him how much we're trying our best, and we're seeking His guidance in this life. It's a wonderful opportunity. I do believe that the more we talk to God, the more He will talk back to us and give to us. If you're not talking with Him and you're not communicating with Him, then He's I don't know. Anyway, that's just how I feel, in my opinion. Anyway, I hope that some of my journey and some of my insight has been helpful. I'm welcome to any questions, and thank you very much. Okay, bye.